Today's video, we're going to talk about Pinterest collection ads and how they produce a 500% ROAS when done the following way that I'm going to cover in this particular video. Pinterest collection ads essentially are ads where you, of course, run ads on Pinterest.com, but where you upload your product feed. For you e-commerce guys, this applies to you. You upload your product feed similar to how a Google Merchant Center product feed would work to your Pinterest account. All the main platforms have feed options, Facebook being one. And then with that said, you actually run an ad which essentially will show a product and then a bunch of products underneath it, what they call a collection ad, of which I wanted to make a video about this because it works extremely well. At least done the way that I've optimized and found out works great for our firm and for our clients. And to show your product in front of people who are already in market for a product like yours, whether it be clothing, housing, home goods, which are mainly the two categories overall that work. But it's not only that. And have your product show up when those people are browsing similar goods on there or other things. Technically, if you're doing remarketing, I'm going to talk about specifically how to do it to make money and get the 500% return. Stay to the end of the video because I will go through two different case studies where we made this kind of a return. And I'll tell you the markets it was, what the requirements were in terms of ad spend, and then also how long it took for the ads to actually break even, and then also get the 500% ROAS level that you ultimately most likely want, as is you're watching this video to start with. With that said, I'm going to go through the 5-step process to set up a collection ad campaign so that you get these kind of results, and then I'll go ahead and get into the case studies right after that. So with that said, the first step in the overall process in order to get this kind of return for your business is to upload a product feed to your account. Now, what I recommend doing, as is I do often on other networks, including Google, is instead of just uploading all your products like the typical person would try to do here, you're just going to upload your 20% best sellers because, you know, the 80-20% rule applies to your business. 20% of your products making 80% of your sales. With that said, you upload 20% sellers from your Shopify or e-commerce store or top 20 sellers from Amazon. If you are doing a lot more volume on Amazon, I would take the data from there. Just upload those. And then step 2 is you create a catalog sales campaign, which is what it's called. And then the ad type collection ads to run an ad like I mentioned here, where you have your product and then products underneath it. And the reason why collection ads certainly work so well is that because not all products that you sell are going to appeal to all people. Somebody's looking at mailboxes, mailbox ideas on Pinterest because you sell one. If you sell multiple mailboxes like we have in the past, you'll do better showing them multiple mailboxes, given that different people will like different styles, than just showing them one and hoping that one is what you want. Even if you know this particular mailbox most people want, it's still not going to give you the same benefit of showing multiple because different people will want different designs no matter what. Nobody likes one product only. And if they did, you would just get rid of all the other products. I mean, just to be frank and fair about it. That's the second step. The third step is use performance plus ROAS bidding, which is what it's called. What this is you're essentially telling the Pinterest ad platform, which is a new bidding strategy type. You're telling Pinterest, hey, give me a high ROAS, which there's no target ROAS itself setting, but with this, it's just going to simply get you as much profit as possible from your campaign. So it's going to go through and test the different products, which product should be the main image, which should be the second, the third, the fourth, so on and so forth. And of course, of the 7 images, which products itself should show. Out of all the 100 that you give it, they'll find the 7 most ideal ones. And then of that, which one should be the main image, the big one on top. And that's what is going on with that. Then step 4, you're going to set up CAPI server-side tracking. In order for this to truly work, because it's going to optimize for sales, you need to give it nice, crisp, clean sales data coming in. So when you do get a sale, the ad platform's aware of it and can do more of that and do less of what's not working. You could do client-side and then server-side tracking with Pinterest, just like you could do on Google, Facebook, on all the other main platforms. Server-side tracking is going to collect 20 to 30% more sales than client side, which is why you want to do it. Find a qualified professional to help you do this. It's so that you get the right data in there, because I can tell you for a fact, the extra 20-30% conversion data is going to make you 50+% more profits from your ad campaign, because the algorithm that's running the ads is going to make a ton better decisions than what it could otherwise with all that missing information. In some occasions, we're doubling our profit, just simply switching over to server-side tracking, but 50% is going to be like bare minimum in terms of the extra profit you're going to make, just simply having that one thing right. Then step 5 is you're going to start what I call low and slow. You're going to start, if you're a smaller company, just $10 a day is fine. If you're a bigger company, go ahead, go with 100. You'll start getting data quicker, and therefore you'll get to break even quicker. But if 100 a day is going to put a strain on your business because it's too much of your overall revenue, given that you're not going to be profitable right away with this, there's always a ramp up period before you become profitable. Start with $10 a day, and then stretch. $10 a day will stretch out the time it takes to get to break even because you're going to gather data slower. But at least it's such a small part of your overall revenue right now that it's not going to drag down your company into negative profitability territory. You got to give the campaign some room to breathe, run, and optimize. When you're hit break even, you're going to raise the budget 30% at a time. You start out with $10 a day, you hit, and you know you got to have a 500% ROAS. You hit 500% ROAS 6 months down the line, you got to raise it to $13 a day, and then $17 a day, then $24 a day, and then just keep going up 30% at a time like this. Why? Because if you go up too fast, too quickly, the ROI is going to dip down a lot. It takes time for that system to figure out where your next batch of customers are coming from. Unless you want the ROI to go down a lot. The quicker you raise it, the more the ROI is going to dip short term before it comes back again. But that is essentially what you're going to do. Now, as far as results go, again, generally speaking, you wouldn't want to do Pinterest ads for the most part unless what you're selling is already on the platform. So if you're going to sell nuts and bolts, if there's nobody selling nuts and bolts or marketing them at all organically, don't advertise on Pinterest. It doesn't make any sense. I've not been able to at least see success with it doing that. If you're selling women's clothing, arts and crafts, anything like this, where there's tons of content on Pinterest, you absolutely want to do it. And you're absolutely crazy not doing it for yourself because your buyers are there. There's no better place to actually to advertise outside of Google search other than Pinterest, even before Facebook, before anything else, because they're specifically there to see content related to your niche. You can actually advertise on YouTube channels related to your niche. That's great. You can advertise on certain blogs related to your niche. That's great. But even better than that, in those two places is Pinterest, because it's so not competitive that outside of Google search ads and Bing search ads is probably going to be your third most profitable platform to be on. So that's the key thing to know here. As far as results here, the two case studies I have here, we sold a mailbox product. And like I said just a minute ago, we actually marketed the mailbox in with the images of other mailboxes there. We did that. Plus we did remarketing, which typically you're always going to want to do remarketing and then first click advertising, which would be targeting people looking at content related to that product category you're in on Pinterest. Now, there's ways to, of course, target people that have basically, they're in market for a mailbox and then you go after them while they're looking at cats or whatever. That's a lot less profitable overall. You're profitable with this first stuff that I just mentioned. You can do that, but don't do that right away. And the problem is you're going to get less impressions, but at least the impressions you get are going to most likely be profitable, especially after you give the system some time to optimize and test, because it'll find 10% of the people looking at mailboxes that are actually buyers and then drill into them, and now you're making a profit, and you're making it for the next how many years, probably. So for the mailbox company, the remarketing, we had the last month where I pulled the data, and this was after 21 months of running the campaign already. Fuller conversions the last month on remarketing, 29 on the so-called first click audience that we had targeting people looking at mailboxes. And specifically type of mailbox that we sold. ROAS of 612% on the remarketing. ROAS on the first click advertising of 382%, which ROAS is just ROI if you don't already know that. So that is the results we got with the mailbox company. Now, we also got a lot of results, a lot more results for a plus size women's clothing brand as well. Now, I'm going to go into the results on that as well, which, by the way, on the mailbox company, it took 10 months just to get to bare minimum profitability for this company, which is right around $2.5 ROAS. So 250% ROAS, or $2.50 in revenue for every dollar in sales. So it took a long time to get to that minimum level. But once you're there, it just keeps getting more and more profitable. And that's why I say, ultimately invest what you can afford to lose. What can you invest today to get the campaign going where you're not going to miss it in your day-to-day operation, knowing that eventually the ROI is going to come up and up and up, and then you can start spending more money once you're profitable, and you're going to make 10, 20% more sales in your company by just having Pinterest ads going in the background, which is about what we had here. That's what Pinterest can do for you, generally speaking, most of the time. As long as there's buyers on Pinterest in your niche, or should I say at least people looking at images in your niche on that website. For that matter, before I get into the next case study about the plus size women's clothing, if you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, what are you doing? You absolutely should do this, because I have the best information you can find online about how to make money with ads on YouTube, Facebook, Pinterest, Twitter, all of X, all of this. And for that matter, I've got a great secondary resource if you haven't seen it yet on my site at guaranteedppc.com/blog. You got to find places to get information about PPC out there from people who are actively out there doing the work, in the trenches, doing the work. Most of the content you see about running ads online, it's not given to you by that. It's given to you by people who run a YouTube channel but don't run any ads, or barely any. I can tell you firsthand, that's the way that it is. So I have to work 80 hours a week to be able to bring you this data like I'm bringing you here, and manage dozens of accounts at the same time, and spend half my time just putting this channel together. But now you can benefit from it. I don't know anybody else doing that, even across YouTube. Furthermore, if you have any questions about anything I'm covering here, leave me a question in the comments below. I'll get back to you. I also have a Discord group. You can find the link to that in the video description. I'm in there answering questions as well. In addition to that, I also have a website you can contact me through at guaranteedppc.com, of which I do coaching and consulting. I do full-on campaign management, of which I do not charge management fees until you get a certain minimum lift in your profitability, or profitability in general. And also sell templates. If you are in a market that we've been in already, we can sell you the winning ads, landing pages, all of it that worked for your niche market. We can basically give that to you. You copy paste it in your ad account and get the same results we did in your market, but in a different city or country that you're in. And I can tell you the results you're going to get with it up front. And in a lot of these markets, I spent literally tens of millions of dollars in ad spend to find out the absolute perfect way to run ads in that market. And you could have the template for a one-time 4-figure fee. If you're interested in that, let me know. Going into the next case study here, plus size women's clothing. In the remarketing arena, we had 55 conversions itself the last month that we were running the ads, of which we've only had the ads running on Pinterest though, at this point in time for 6 months already. So we got a lot of results right away. Yes, it's remarketing. We have a big customer list. We got a bunch of people coming to the website because we run heavy ads other places, especially Google. And we got a 492% ROAS there on the remarketing traffic. In some spaces, you may not be able to get a great return on first click, but remarketing is basically always going to work. Why would you not want to run ads there? And I've talked about in other videos before how you remarket as many places as you can, because it's going to lift your revenue in your company up a lot. You spend a lot of money to get people to your website that are in market for your product, but then you don't follow them up very well. You're just throwing away half the value of that traffic. You remarket to them everywhere you can, because some people don't go to Facebook. They go to Pinterest, and you don't remarket to them on Pinterest. You're not remarketing to them at all. Now, we also heavily ran ads already to get in front of people that are looking at plus size women's clothing ideas, fashion ideas, so on and so forth. We got 19 conversions there on that traffic with a 299% ROAS itself, which is barely profitable again, but it's early in here. We were already profitable with this account though at the 3-month point, when you at least combine the remarketing with the first click. So that gives you an idea comparing to, where we don't have as much traffic going to our website or current customers, and therefore can't rely on remarketing so much. Taking 10 months to get to profitability, it was only 3 months here. So the lesson here being, if you already have a fairly sized big brand, Pinterest is going to make money pretty much right away. If you don't, you can still make money. It's just going to take probably 3 to 5 times as long to hit profitability, but then it's profitable anyway. As long as you got people viewing similar content on Pinterest, I'm telling you, it will work. Just do what I'm saying here. I promise you it will work. And that's it. And in terms of budget it took for us to get here, we started out with a $10 a day budget on the mailbox company, we spent a day budget with the plus size women's clothing brand, of which, like I said earlier, generally speaking, our firm will either start out on a platform with $10 a day or 100 based upon where we're at with that client in terms of how much revenue they have coming in. And therefore, we have the liberty to be able to gather data quicker because that $100 a day might only be 0.1% of the revenue. So why the hell we're wasting time not doing $100 a day? But I'd start out with 1,000 a day on Pinterest. There's not that much traffic there. Some niches there really is, so to say, but even then, you don't need 1,000 a day to show and get profitability from your ads and then start spending more. You want to spend 1,000 a day for this women's clothing brand. I know we're going to get to spending 1,000 a day eventually. That might take 3 to 5 years to fully get, ramping it up all the way. But we don't need that day one to be able to get to profitability, so to say. And for that matter, all your advertising should be the same way. What is it going to take to gather some data so it doesn't take a million years to get some data and get to profitability? And then just start spending more after that. If a client comes to me and says, hey, Corey, I want to spend $50,000 a month on advertising right now, I say, whoa. Let's spend 3 and let's show a profit and then we'll start spending more. Why? I already know how people are, just to be fair and frank about this. Because if I spend $50K a month and it's not working in a month, they're going to be panicking and pressuring me. I don't want that kind of pressure. I know it takes time to learn how to do stuff. Marketing is trial and error at the end of the day. Unless you're selling something with super high demand and low competition, it's going to take trial and error and testing to make it profitable. It's just how it is. When it's not profitable, you just got to figure out what made it not profitable. This demographic, this keyword, this audience, this ad, and you just keep working on it till it's profitable. It's really that simple. The people that make a lot of money with ads, they understand this. It's a process. Making money with ads is a process. It's not a get-rich-quick scheme. It's not a one-time event that you go through. You advertise, know you need a 500% ROAS to be profitable, let's say. You get a 50% ROAS the first month. That's just getting your feet wet with the process. Okay, we got some data. What can we do less of? What can we do more of? Now we got 150%. Now what can we do? Same thing again. You got to know this. Pinterest is no different. Anyway, that gives you a couple different examples of how this can work in markets where it did work for us. And as long as you just go to Pinterest, see for yourself, are there people looking at images related to what you're doing? If so, go ahead and do it. If it is working, I recommend trying to run some of the other ad types along with it, video ads especially, but this is generally speaking what I would start with itself because we're having the most success with it because you can use this ROAS bidding strategy and it works very well. So I would recommend at least starting here. Hopefully that makes sense. I'll see you on the next one. Talk to you later. If you want to see another video, click here. It is one of my best ones.